What's up, guys? How have you guys been? I've been well, even though I just recovered from not being well. I'm well, alhamdulillah for that. I hope you guys have been well. How is the family? How is work? How is everything? I hope you're trying to rest, or not trying to rest. You're making sure you're getting rest because this life is stressful. Today, I'll be talking about 5 ways you can be a more effective communicator and you can better your relationships. Let's get right into it. The first thing on my list is that you should be positive. What I mean by being positive is that when you're entering into a communication, more like when you're in a conversation, you should stay positive. Anyone, like if I ask most of you people now if you felt fulfilled after being in a conversation with a negative person, what would you say? Most people don't feel fulfilled after being in a conversation with a negative person because basically they're just giving you negative vibes, like you're not understanding what they're saying, and basically you're just giving out negative aura. So basically what you should strive to do is to stay positive. You should stay positive and know the particular aim of that conversation, and know exactly what you want to get from that conversation, and just put your mind to it. When you stay positive, you're actually willing to understand what the other person is saying, and vice versa. Then the second point is to be a good listener. Yes, you should be a good listener, or you should be a listener. First of all, be a listener before you strive to actually be understood. So when you strive to understand people, it's easier for you to be understood. Do you understand? This is not like you should not be able to express your feelings. What I'm trying to say here is that you should first strive to understand people before you strive to be understood, because to be honest, this has happened to me. Like, this is still happening to me. I'm just trying to help you guys and I help myself, but I used to just basically, I wouldn't say listen. It's like when people talk, I don't actually assimilate what they've said. I just so I don't actually get the details of what they've said, so I just assume in my head that I understand what they've said, but basically, to be honest, I actually haven't understood or assimilated what they actually said. So you should actually strive to understand people, like word to word, before you now start thinking of being understood. You get it? The third on my list is that you should be an echo. This one is something that I actually practice, and I still practice. It's something that I constantly try to do. Echoing people's echoing during a communication or after a communication is basically trying to actually say it, speak it out verbally, and try to understand the key points in that conversation, or the key points that you're trying to remember in that conversation. This should not be done like every time. It's just something that you have to do to actually understand what the person has said. And you could even do it during the conversation, like if the person says, I went to school, or I went to bath, or I went to school and I stopped at the baking store, and I stopped at the laundry. So you should actually, like, major things in this conversation, in this sentence now is laundry, baking store, and school. So like those are the key points that the person mentioned that you actually have to remember in order to have effective communication. You see, this effective communication, it really helps like a lot of relationships. It helps you build your relationships better. Trust me, I'm talking from experience. So when you understand people more, or when you have the aim of a communication and you know exactly what you want to get from that aim, trust me, you'll be a better communicator. Like, you will have more effective communication because you know exactly what you want out of that communication, and you know what you want to get out of it, and both of you are not confused, both of you are not giving each other negative vibes. Not mind both of you, like it could be more people are not giving each other negative vibes. You actually know exactly what you're communicating. You're not trying to manipulate anybody with your words and all that. Yeah. So the fourth thing on my list is that you should be a mirror. Basically, like, mirror what the other person is saying or what the other people are saying. Like, try to act like them when they're talking. Me, for example, as I'm talking, when I'm narrating a story, I'll be like, that is, and I said that is, and I said that is, and I said. So like, if somebody does that to you, I think you should actually be able to mirror it and see how it sounds from your mouth, like how the person thinks that the person is saying it. Over time, like, we have different phrases that we get used to. We leave some, we just hold on to some, and yeah. For example, that is now, I think that's reduced. I was mostly using when I was in like university, but you guys should just, like, basically You shall get what I'm saying, sha. Then the last one on my list is that you should be real, be you. There is no other version of you. You should be real when you're communicating. Don't pretend to understand. Don't pretend to understand. You should be you, the only version of you, and that's just how you can be a very effective communicator. So that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you guys will stay well. Expect more videos from me. I am well now. Thank you. Thank God for that. You guys, rest. I told you, rest. Life is stressful. Rest. So thank God I'm back now. I hope to see you guys next time. Till I see you.